Okay, today we're joined by Matthew Parkinson of Oldham, and the reason we're talking to Matthew is that in the last year you've stopped betting, haven't you? So
Yeah.
first of all, congratulations on that. I know you're very proud, and I saw you put it on Facebook that you were very proud of that. So firstly, what got you into betting, and sort of how much were you putting on, and what were you betting on?
I mean, firstly, it was just the standard football bets. You know, just play started before I was 18. To be fair, the odd pound here you just give to your dad to put a bet on for you whatnot. And then I think pretty much from when I was able to open an account, I did. And for the first probably 5 years, it was not really a problem. I had a little bet of the football, only of the football, nothing else. Um, your little accumulators, you do a couple of pound here and there. So it was never really an issue. Bit of fun. I won. I lost, I lost. And then probably about 5 years ago, probably about halfway, well, about 4 or 5 years ago, just started to bet on horses, dogs, a bit more, and playing more on football as well. So just like increasing the stakes from £3 to £5 to £10 to £20, and then it just became a bit of a more of a habit rather than fun. A weekly bet became a twice a week, 3 times a week to daily, pretty quickly. And then obviously your stakes start to rise. The more you win, the more you want to win. The more you lose, you want to try and chase your wins. I'd say chase your losses, should I say? And then obviously the online stuff starts coming to play. You um, roulette, slot machines, all very easy stuff.
So were
And
you going
then
into the bookies and betting it originally, or what? Where
no,
were you?
no, I started online. To be fair, I never really went into the bookies. Very
Right,
rarely I
okay.
did go into the bookies. It was always online. A bit too easy when I saw it. I guess you click on it and you're on, and then you literally spend 50 quid in 2 minutes. So
Do you think that that's made things worse? Well, obviously it's made things worse, but do you think in the time of the bookies it was a lot easier? You had somebody face to face who was there to say, sort of, I'm not taking any more money off you, and that's
yeah, I
sort
mean,
of gone now.
yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, like I said, I never really went into the bookies. I never really witnessed that, but I can imagine that being the case because I could eat, and I used to work away a lot as well. So if I working away, if I was on my own, there were an awful lot to do. So you probably sat in your hotel room or in the bar, and then just browsing your phone. Oh, I'll have a quick bet, and that's where it literally just went from there. But then eventually it just became, part of the life of betting was part of my day. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, probably put a bet on, have a look at the bets, wake up in the morning, all day on my phone constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was just a bit got well out of hand. But saying that, I didn't know it was out of hand until it was out of like too late, sort of thing. So at the time when it was out of hand, I didn't actually appreciate that it was out of hand.
Do you mind saying how out of hand it got for you?
Uh, well, money wise, into
Mm-hmm.
the thousands.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you could say, fortunate that I never leave myself in a situation that I couldn't pay for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I never missed a direct debit or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have to take out some credit cards. I took out
Right.
enough loans. I've I've done all that, been there. So I certainly was spending money that I didn't have because I
Mm-hmm.
took it out. But for some unknown reason, I always managed to keep myself in a situation where I never put myself in a position where I couldn't pay for something.
Yeah, one of the things because I was sort of brought up in around betting shops and sort of not really worried about it. But one thing my dad always taught me was don't bet what you can't afford to lose. That was the sort of his motto. But I can easily see how people can sort of lose track of that and lose focus of that, especially when it's a cert or it's something sort of fed to you in the way it is now online, which we're going to get into in a little minute. But what for you was enough is enough now? What pushed it over the edge?
Uh, Me, probably the fact that my mum decided to go snooping
Okay.
worked out very well. I basically on I told her, and I managed to hide it for a long time. I
Right.
hid it pretty well. But I guess towards the end of my betting, so you're probably looking at summer last year, and obviously October, so probably around July or September time. Actually, tell I know, even a little bit earlier because actually in July when it sort of all came out. So probably May, June time, I was, behaving a bit differently. I think things have got to me without actually realising that things have got to me. Anyway, basically, long story short, she just basically found something posted in my room. And then when I told her, it was a sit down talk, and that where it all sort of came out. Yeah.
How were you sort of feeling emotionally at that point when you were sort of at your breaking point, really?
Well, I mean, I was always, I don't know, because I think how I felt was an interesting one. 'Cause I didn't actually know how I felt at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realise that I was depressed. I never would have imagined I was depressed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I was depressed until I went to the doctors, and that's what they told me. Which obviously is all connected to the betting. But I mean, I'd go from highs to lows. I'd sit in bed if I had, say, I had a certain amount of money in my betting account. I'd be wanting to win that, to round it up to that nearest 100 or nearest 1,000. I'd do it, and then within 2 minutes, I'd waste it all on I don't know, roulette. Mm-hmm. So I'd spend the last hour trying to get there, and I'd be like buzzing that I finally got there, and then 2 minutes later, I've lost it all, and I've been like, rock bottom again. So it was up, down, up, down, up, down. So it was an absolute. Once I decided, when I told people, even when I initially told people, I carried on betting for a couple of months. I always had stops in place, but it never really affected me because I betted with 10 different companies or whatever. Yeah. So, if one stop was in place, then I'd bet somewhere else and so on and so on. So it was never really a factor until right at the very end, I guess.
Because the bookmakers, they say that my dad used to go to their shop started out with one roulette machine, and what they used to do, even taxi drivers over the years have told me this, that their colleagues would sort of go into those, play on the roulette with all their wages. They either came out with nothing or they came out with 2 or 3 times the amount of their wage. But that bookmaker in particular managed to open, I think, 2 extra shops just off the money he made from the roulette, which is just insane because that's people's sort of lives, isn't it? When it's getting to that stage, you can't help but think that that's a problem for the people.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's scary. Like I don't think you realise just how much money people or how much trouble people get themselves in. I mean, it's not. I guess you could argue it's not their fault because that's their job. It's the bookie's job, isn't it? At the end of the day, to earn to make the money, and how they do it is how they do it. But I mean, yeah, I certainly didn't realise until it was far too late, until I was into the thousands, that it got out of hand.
Do you think sort of bookies need to do more? Just going back to that example there, this is more an in-person sort of betting rather than what online. But for the example, those machines, before the government stepped in and sort of put a max stake on, they started adding sort of card readers to it and stuff like that. Do you think bookies should be more responsible for stuff like that? Or like you said, because you just interestingly said there that it's sort of their job to make the money. So do you think that goes past the moral sort of?
It does, doesn't it? But at the same time, like, I guess tough one. I'd say tough one. I mean, I certainly wish that if I was to be betting, it would have been now when the blocks were in place and not when it wasn't, because then it would have stopped me a lot sooner. I certainly would have prevented a lot of my losses. So from that point of view, I mean, I look at the way the banks are doing things, like in terms of people's banking. You have the options now on banking to stop betting transactions. I think that's brilliant, perfect. Credit cards, for instance, I know some companies now you're not allowed to bet with your credit cards. Again, superb, because that will prevent people getting it just solely to spend on it, and that obviously prevent debt. So I think it is absolutely brilliant what they are doing, but I wouldn't solely blame the bookies because I think they was in there, they were doing it how they believe to be sort of getting it as well. So yeah.
Is it the bookies that are putting the stops on that, or the betting site? The betting sites or the banks that are putting the stops on that?
I know banks have. I mean, the credit card one, I'm pretty sure that might have been the government. I think they've introduced something that basically stops it, and obviously banks have to follow it. It might be completely wrong there, but I know something definitely has come into place. And obviously, I mean, to be fair to bookies, you look online now, and every single advert, it might be an offer, but it's followed up with bet responsibly. So I think bookies are certainly trying the best, or trying to offer the support, and more always can be done unless you're not betting. So I think, to be fair, I think a lot of it is going in the right direction.
It's interesting to sort of see how much sympathy you have for the bookies. Really, I wasn't expecting that. Do you think
that's fine.
Say that again, sorry.
I won't blame them. I said it's always my. I mean, it's my own fault. I won't blame them because
Okay.
that naive way of looking at it. You know, it's me. It was me who put myself in that situation. It was me who sort of was prepared to get the credit card and loans to do it, overdraft. You know, so I think to solely blame it on the bookies would probably be wrong with me personally.
But you don't sound like you've got any blame for the bookies.
I probably haven't, if I'm being honest, because is it's open? I mean, it's open, yeah. So I guess that could be the argument blame. But why are bookies there? But they're there. They've been there for years, so they're for me. Difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I've never openly spoken like that. So to be fair, and probably when I hear it now, I'd like to say not showing any sympathy towards the bookies, probably because I know it's my own fault.
Well, obviously the government have felt a need to step in, and obviously the banks have felt a need to step in. So maybe you're sort of being blind to think something that I wanted to get onto now. Features of betting sites that may lead easily to addiction. Is there anything that you'd pick out that's sort of specific they're doing that's sort of leading to this addiction?
I mean, that's probably the part where I would start to sort of back you up, like say what you just said there, because, geez, I mean, you go on it, there's always offers. There's absolutely, you always compete against each other, so you know you're always going to get somewhere, whether it's the big ones or the small bookies, you're always going to be getting an offer. So they're enticing you in there, which I do think, that's completely blind spot. And like you say, even because the bigger your customer you are to them, obviously the more benefits you're going to get. And that's obviously why they catch you, and that's why you stick to them. So, yeah, I mean, looking at it from that way, if the bookies solely had, why can't they just introduce a £10 a week for everyone? And that's absolutely it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do anything else. And then that obviously would sort of limit everything, But, I mean, the offers are jokes. I mean, obviously, you sign up and you get so many free bets, blah, blah, blah. So you sign up for every single company. Then some of your bank accounts with so many different ones. And you're free to do whatever you want, really. There's no sort of stopping you. So, yeah, I think there is certainly a problem with the amount of offers and the way they entice you in.
One of the offers I picked up on the Sky Bet Club, where you bet £25 a week, and then you get a free £5 bet. So that's immediately £100 a month just on that Sky Bet Club, which is crazy. But then you've also got price boosts on pretty much everything that's going on. There's price boosts on the presidential election at the moment. But then you've got, so say I had a win on a Saturday of an accumulator for 70 quid, I'd have £10 a little bit later on. 1 second, the dog's barking. Working from home. I'd win that £70 and then maybe have a tenner on American football of two teams I've never heard. Or once I had a bet, another one in play mixed doubles in America. And I'm like, never watched it, just thought, I'm in a winning streak.
Yeah.
I'm going to win.
Exactly.
And it's sort of in your brain then, I've won now, I'm going to win again.
That's it. And I mean, you look at the other way, you've lost and you're trying to get your money back.
Yeah.
I mean, I always used to bet purely on the English football, and obviously then you go to the European football. And like you mentioned companies like that, you've got Bet365, who do that, the European hackers. That automatically introduces new industries, like new competitions that you're going to bet on, because it's there. I ended up betting on bloody women's football, 19 football, Division Z of the Russian league. If I find a way to bet, that's just the way I was doing at the time. So I think there's a lot that can be done.
So yeah, the in-play betting. So not only have you got the price boost before the game and before any election or anything like that, or even TV shows, you then got the in-play of stuff that's happening. I've lost my first fiver on the first goal scorer, so I'll have the next goal scorer. And I think that's just how it adds up, and then you're sort of targeting yourself to get to that 25 quid.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can see, and that's just on one side.
They're clever. They know how to get you, and they will get you. Whether you, I mean, my mates still bet now. So when we could go to the pub, at first I struggled. I struggled sitting there with my mates who were all on the phones having a bet on the football, and I still sort of look at it. And even now, I still sort of have a bet in the head in a way.
Okay.
I'm thinking, I might have a little bet. This is what I fancy. This is what I'm thinking. I might. This is what I would have done if I was doing, which is weird, but so I sort of get around it now.
Yeah.
But I sit there and watch my mates do it, and I'm thinking, mugs.
Yeah.
Which is,
In a way, you can run it like that. You could run on and make a tally of all the money that you've saved, and have that at the end of the year to show. And I bet it won't. It'll probably be more than what you won by actually putting it on.
oh, of course it would. I mean, because honestly, I would be scared to see how much I actually betted. I could always look at how much I deposited into the accounts, but I would be scared of how much I've actually won and wasted. Like I'm living at home now. I know for a fact that I have a mortgage. I'd be living on my own. But hey, I've made that mistake, so I'll get out of it now.
So it's an addiction. Is it an addiction? At the time, it probably is like alcohol, drugs, where you're getting that high, and it's not necessary. Well, it's not good for you. Um, is it in the same way something that you could, you say you stayed away from even having one with your mates. In the same way you do that with alcohol. Would one bet maybe lead you back to falling into that addiction, or do you think you could once again maybe put on the odd one for fun, or would you not even go there?
Right now, I wouldn't even entertain it. I sit there with my mates now, and if I'm pushing my luck, I'll say, "Come on, let's play a game of rock paper scissors for a beer." Again, that's my maximum
And lose.
Because well, yeah, I usually manage to fix it, but it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I mean, I took myself to GA, to Gamblers Anonymous, and they've always said, you'll always be a gambler, and you will be. So for them, you never ever go
Right.
to it. And
that's interesting.
I do some. Don't get me wrong. I do sometimes think, oh, it'd be so nice to be able to go on a Saturday afternoon, go to the Buckies, stick your five run, sit in the pub with your mates, have a couple of pints, and that's it. But right this second, no, I wouldn't even entertain that idea because I would be scared of where I would end up, to be honest.
So what was your process once you've realised enough is enough, now I'm going to get help? What was the process? You mentioned Gamblers Anonymous there. What did you do first?
Yeah, so I had it. Well, obviously my mum found out, so she had the talk. I had a good chat with her, my sister, my dad. Sort of it all came out. And then even then, I was still a bit naive. I didn't have a problem with gambling. So even though at that point I gave my mum access to my bank accounts, so she could see things, I still had betting accounts open. So I'd still put the odd bet on it. I told them that I'd only do so much a day, so much a week. I didn't because I had an addiction and I lied. So that was part of obviously the problem. And then a couple of months later, literally on the 23rd of October, I decided. I mean, that was it. I had a mate who obviously I won't mention, but he sort of went to GA and he had a good few chats with me the months leading up to it. And I always thought I didn't have a problem. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do this, that. Anyway, I went and that was it. I mean, you look at these things on TV, your GA, your AA, and you're probably thinking, do I really need to go that? That's the thing I did. I mean, it's like a new little support family. Everyone, you don't necessarily know people that well, but you're all in the same boat. So there's no judging, there's nothing. And you speak freely about how you're feeling, blah, blah, blah. And then at that point, it was probably when I actually realised that I needed a little bit of extra help in terms of myself as well, not just gambling. And that's when I went to the doctors and they diagnosed me with, it was the mild depression, but I guess it doesn't really make a difference. Depression, whether you look at it, whichever way, shape or form. And again, that was another sense of thing because it wasn't just a case of, oh, I'm not feeling shit for no reason. Effectively, I guess there is actually a medical reason behind it, which I never really wanted. I guess, people throw around words quite easily, I think, sometimes. And I'd myself, a lucky lad, not by every stretch of the imagination, not a chance would I consider myself an unlucky person. And I got myself in this situation, so there's no feeling sorry for myself. I need to sort myself out, and that's how it sort of went. And I obviously had a bit of therapy. I always get what it's called, CP, Cognitive Behavioural Therapy, CPT. That's what I was sort of saying, and I was worried that my addiction might be, not my gambling addiction might lead to a different sort of addiction, because I stopped that.
And you replaced it.
Into drink. But no, I took myself away. I did actually take myself away from my mates a little bit and going out because I needed to. I needed that bit of fresh air. Not just because of we were 25-year-old lads. You sit and have a bet and have a drink. That's how it works. And I was a bit scared of what I'd do after a drink. So that was part of it. Even if if you look at a pub, you've got how many slot machines in pubs these days? You have 4 or 5 easily in every single pub. And that's part of gambling. I stand there and put 50 quid into a machine to win 60 quid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, I don't touch it anymore. Even that, I have so much more time on my hands. I'm sat in the pub now. I'm not constantly on my phone looking at betting or at the slot machines. I'm actually sat with people I'm with and having a good time. At home with my family. I'm not sat there on the phone looking at bets. I'm spending time with people. So it's so not just betting. I have much more time for people and actually appreciate the time I have with people.
Are your friends sort of? I know you said they still sort of bet around you, but are they more wary about talking about it? And because it's obviously an easy thing to discuss. All these price boosts today, while they're having it, or group bets or stuff like that.
I mean,
are they wary of it now? Or do they still?
Not really, no.
No.
Does that mean no, I mean, I'll give them kudos. They was good at the start. Obviously there's things that happened at the start, and we probably was a bit cautious. Like, your mates text you, go, "I got this for the weekend." I wasn't part of them texts anymore, which obviously helped.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, like where I am now, it doesn't bother me at all. I would happily sit there with them and sort of go, "Oh, I fancy that. I don't fancy that."
Mm-hmm.
Even like, I'd like to say that I know a little bit about horse racing, but I still watch racing now. I still look at it because I actually enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually now in that position now where betting's actually that far away from me that I actually enjoy watching it. I enjoy reading about it. So
right.
Probably.
So your enjoyment sort of returned, because I only have small bets and on football, and when I've not got a bet on the football, it's just not as fun, I think. But that's the sort of advertising that sites are running with now. Oh, have more fun, have a bet. And once you do stop on it, it's hard. So it's great to hear that that's returned, having been out of it for a year, and that there is still enjoyment.
Maybe that's why I sort of, maybe in a way, have a little bet in my head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I would go for,
Yeah.
Almost imaginary money. I don't do anything with it, but I think, oh, that'll win. And I do Super 6 still, because that's not, it's not for any money. So maybe that's the way I look at it now. Maybe that's my little bet for the day.
Mm-hmm.
But no, doesn't honestly. It's sort of feel like betting. I mean, not to get naive or thingy, but I know it could come back any day. I could literally just have a slip, and that's always get sort of taught to your meetings. But right now, I don't have any sort of.
Great. If you could summarise it, then how has stopping betting changed your life?
Probably scarily good, because I wouldn't have a clue where I would be now. I've got much more. Well, one set of my dogs. My dog's on the go now. I'm sorry, let them out. Like scarily good, because I wouldn't know where I would be now. I wouldn't have the time on my hands. I certainly wouldn't have. I've managed to pay back quite a good amount of money this year, so that would have happened. And then, like mentally, so much better. Like I said, mentioned before, I've got so much more time with people. Like family, friends, like everything like that. There's so much more time. I think my sort of atmosphere that I create has changed. I'm more enjoying. Like people sort of, I don't know if they do or not. I don't know if they enjoy my company more or not. I'd like to think they would do, because I'm a bit more of an upbeat person. I just in general, like I'm a much better person. Like taking away that stress.
Mm-hmm.
I used to not sleep. I used to wake up thinking about money. Now I wake up thinking about, oh, that's good. Like what's going to happen today. Blah blah blah. Just big change that's worked out. I mean, I no longer. I used to always like just back to betting equipment. I used to like, if I won a tenner, I'd smile. If I won a grand, I'd smile. You wouldn't notice the difference. Mm-hmm. If I lost 500 quid, I'd still probably smiling the same as I won that 1,000. Mm-hmm. That's how much it just impacted me. So now it's just like, if I smile, I'm happy. Mm-hmm. I'll have my days where I'm a bit, down, but I know it's going to come good. So it's a massive improvement in my life, and it's, if anyone does want, does need to, because they think they've got a problem, just there's things out there now, which is a massive help. There's websites everywhere, like small ones, big ones. You game, and I can tell you firsthand that GA is a massive help. And obviously with lockdown, it's not as easy to go to the meetings, but I know for a fact the ones that I like, we've got online meetings, so there's always things available. So, but from personally for myself, absolutely massive, like improvement in myself mentally, physically.
Good. Because I was going to ask you then what your advice would be to others, but my last question was going to be: are you planning on any sort of campaigns or anything like that that would focus on betting sites? But it's just shocked me a little bit how you have no sort of sympathy, or not no sympathy, but very little sympathy for them, and sort of blame yourself for it. Which, but
Yeah,
one thing I did pick up on what you said earlier was no matter, it was something along the lines of no matter who you are, they'll get you eventually. It was something along those where I thought maybe you haven't thought about this properly in how much they are to blame in this, instead of just blaming yourself.
yeah. Um, I mean, yeah. I mean, they obviously do have an. I mean, they obviously. I mean, their job is to make money and get people betting with that company. So that's obviously the different offers. That's how they're going to do it, and then they entice you in, and then so they entice you in, and then they've got you, and then it's up to the bookies then to sort of keep you, I guess, like by offering you the different things. So there's obviously a problem there, which I probably didn't come across the same, but there's obviously a problem there in the fact that so maybe there should be a limit of offers. I don't know how it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there should obviously be something in terms of limit of offers. Betting companies can only accept so much money. I do think, to be fair, I didn't mention that betting companies probably don't do much as much themselves. There's stories in the papers all the time where you see, should the bookies actually get involved with them more? Should they be checking people's deposits to see how much you're spending?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really know how much of that goes on, so players should really comment on that. They don't know how they do it and how
Yeah.
that field operates. But I just think, I mean, for me personally, I probably put more blame on myself just because that's the sort of person I am.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get me wrong, bookies should do. And I think there's a lot of things that are happening which are positive. So, I mean, kudos to people who've done that. Like, whether it's the government, the banks, I think that's brilliant. Bookies, they can look at themselves and think, yeah, we do obviously, it's vulnerable people at the end of the day, and that's what they target. So there's obviously clearly a problem there. But for me, I can't solely put the blame on the bookies because I know it's my own fault.
No,
That makes
no,
sense.
you can't put the blame solely on the bookies, but it would be people like you who have been through it and our survival stories that would be on the front line of sort of campaigns to change this, because not everybody
Yeah,
survives through this. I've read
of
people
course.
of people killing themselves through debt through betting on countless occasions, and it's sort of people like you who've come through it and can tell the stories of how it affects you and what it was. I could never tell you how you're what you've been through and how you're feeling. So I couldn't really campaign, but I picked up on the Sky Bet stuff and the price boost and stuff, and thinking, oh, I wouldn't get really addicted to that, but I know people could easily do that. So it would be
Yeah, and
people like you, I think,
that's
who
how
would
it
be the
started.
spokesperson for it, which is why I wanted to ask that.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
it's not something I've ever thought of, to be honest.
mm-hmm.
Not something that I've ever thought about doing. I'm not great at that sort of thing, I'll be honest.
Well, you've done very
I
well
don't like.
today.
But I mean, just one thing you just mentioned. I never thought I'd be addicted. Me neither. And
Yeah,
that was what scared me.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I never imagined that I would have been in that position. I always thought, yeah, enough's enough. Stop when the fun's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was motto. But I couldn't, and that's obviously when I became addicted because I wouldn't stop. But I couldn't pinpoint the time when I did become addicted. Maybe it was when I first started, and that's sort of just the personality I've got.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, campaign wise, so I wouldn't be backing myself.
No.
I think it's a good idea. No, I'd certainly offer my, I'd offer my thoughts, and don't get me wrong, that there would be, I would be up for, I'd be up for no betting at all because it's not great,
Mm-hmm.
but I know, like you say, it's part of people's lives, whether it's an addiction or not. People could you just take it away? Probably not, because it's gambling. It's not just betting, is it? It's people gamble
Mm-hmm.
for different things, I guess. So it's a tough one. It is a tough one.
Not that I was putting
But more can be done.
any pressure on you at all there, or sort of telling you to do it. But
No, no.
you're the one with the expertise now. You've been through this. You people are looking to you for advice now because you've come through the other side. That's all I was getting at. And if you can think of the
Yeah,
reasons why you got addicted, that's only going to help other people.
of course it is. And it isn't that question's never been asked to me, to be fair. I never really thought of it either. So it's something that I could think about and take away. maybe it's something I'll look into because it is something that probably does need. I mean, I've never heard from, apart from listening to people at the GA that I go to, it's not spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously does need a wider audience, and maybe it's something I can look at.
You've spoken very well today. I don't see you having any problems helping out with campaigns.
I know you're correct. That's why.
Well, the only thing I was going to say was just to finish on. You may blame yourself and not anyone else, but you should also be equally proud that you've managed to turn this around and admit you had a problem and seek that help, because you're obviously a lot happier now, and you're willing to share the story, which is even better. So
yeah, no, yes, man.
Thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it. Good to see you smiling. And hopefully when the pubs reopen, you can win that bet to win a pint.
Rock, paper, scissors, on.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Thank you very much, mate.
Right.
Take care of yourself.
No,
Bye.